Hello, everyone. It's been a while, another week, and we kept our promise. We are here a week later. I am going to be joined again by Brenda. My name is Oni Kamakwakwa, and we're here at the Wise Collective page where we will be having our weekly chat on all things gender based violence and femicide related. We're going to wait a few minutes until Brenda actually joins us on the call. And as always, if you are somewhere with Brenda right now on WhatsApp, on Facebook, she's commenting on your pages or whatever, please dismiss her and tell her that we are waiting for her here on the live chat on the Wise Collective page. Soon let me actually go ahead and be forward and invite her. Oh, okay, so she hasn't even guest request allow views. Okay. I'm not able to invite her yet because she has not logged on to the page, but as soon as she does so, I will make sure to bring her on. But just to kind of do a quick recap of what we are going to touch on today, we will give you an update on what is going on with the femicide case for Justice for Naledi. You will recall that last week we announced that the Wise Collective has filed a watch brief in order to observe the processes of this case. Tomorrow is the bail hearing in Court B at the Velcom Magistrate Court. And the Wise Collective will be there, both in official watching capacity as well as to support the late victim of this more recent femicide in our country. And Brenda will tell us a little bit more, Brenda will tell us a little bit more about that, as she is one of the people who will be heading out to Velcom. Remember, you will recall last week that she actually told us that this is actually an incident that is happening from her own hometown. So anyway, let me send Brenda one more message. Again, you do your part as well. If you are here listening and know that we are waiting for Brenda and you are chatting with her or she's commenting on your pages, please tell her to join us on Connect Now, to join us on the Wise Collective page so we can get this conversation going as quickly as possible. We've got a few other updates with regards to what we as the Wise Collective are up to and initiatives that we will soon be able to share with you, and hope that you will join us to journey through in getting the work continuing and keeping this GBV and femicide scourge in the nation's consciousness, but not just being aware. Being aware alone is not going to keep women alive. We need to keep women alive. We need to not only gather when women have been assaulted and or killed, but we need to also be able to make sure that we are continuously preventing some of these incidents. We will also touch on a more recent incident around public transportation, and as you know, there's been several before. The more recent one involves taxi drivers, but previously you will recall that we've dealt with Intercape incidents, and so I think there is an opportunity for us to look at more of a comprehensive response on how we actually begin to address these kinds of incidents in a way that restores our right to safety, not only nationally but also in public transportation, because it is a public duty. So we need to engage the new minister in that ministry to make sure that we continue to keep public transportation safe for all riders, but more especially for women, given our crisis with gender-based violence as well as femicide. Brenda is asking for an invite. I'm not understanding why she needs to be invited, but she is not live. She's not on. So Brenda, please go to Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Just give me a few minutes to his page and watch so I can invite you. Okay, so we'll get Brenda here shortly, and as soon as I see her on, I'll be able to add her. If that doesn't work, I may need to go ahead and start this video again, which I hate doing. But anyway, this is where we are. So we're just waiting for Brenda. If you have any comments, any questions, please go ahead. Brenda is here. I'm adding her now. If you have any comments, please go ahead and drop them in the section below. Like I've already stated, we are going about all things GBV. We are going to do an update on the femicide cases. Hey, Brenda, as well as
How's
more
it?
recently on the transportation related issues. I'm good. How are you?
Well, what? I broke down today.
I know. Hey.
Yeah.
What's going on? Tell us about it.
All right. So, we're busy with the drafting of this National Strategic Plan on GBV. And today we were talking about theory of change and, what are the things that we want to see change, right?
So NGO of you.
Yeah, and in that space, we're talking about the change that brought us here, and I spoke about that, right? The change that started with the total shutdown, and that we here because of those 24 demands, right?
Yes, and we mustn't forget
but
them.
that journey, yeah, and that journey has been brutal to some of us, right? In how we have been treated by others. So I mean, I broke down because I mean I could, it's that you are sitting with people in that room. Some of them have been brutal to you, and you sharing the same space with them, and you have to make sense and make sure that things get done, even with all of that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry, but
So
I mean, I feel like some of these things need to eventually come up. It feels to me like since the March and even post March, and actually more so probably since the summit, we are all carrying so much pent up anger, disappointment, and hurt that at some point we need to kind of find space for it. It can't possibly all be what's fueling us, right? So at some point we need to unpack it and address it directly so that we can be effective in what we need to be doing.
No, we will. Yeah. Dr. T, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, wow, look.
Hi.
Dr. T in the house. How are you?
Yeah, the feminists are everywhere, sis. We don't wait for invitations.
It's like a takeover.
It's happening. It's happening.
We're here for everything. Awesome.
We are here. We are live.
Wow. Are you going to welcome tomorrow as well?
Yes, I'm going to welcome tomorrow. We are mobilizing from Johannesburg.
Awesome. So this is the Justice for Naledi effort. We all know that Obed is his name. We need to call him by his name.
Sips has to say hi.
Hey, Sips. Hello, Sips. There's
hey.
Sips. Are you going to welcome tomorrow as well?
Noma kanjani?
I think I'm the only one who's not going to welcome. I'm suddenly feeling like a stepchild of the movement.
Yeah, no, and you had promised to be here, but now you told me that you're going to Springbok. We've got another case there, right? In Springbok. Are you going, or you've changed your mind?
There's so much going on. There's no information on that, so that's kind of frustrating as well. And it looks like it's going to be postponed again. So after you guys are done with Welcome, we need some help to really take a look at this Northern Cape stuff that's going on. Fortunately, it sounds like they're having a mayor who's trying to, become the people's favorite. And you
Mayor
know,
or the
political
premier?
leadership.
The premier, man. The premier.
The premier,
Premier
yes,
Sound.
yes, who's trying to be people's
Yes.
favorite. So let's test him on GBV. I think he's ready for the
No,
public.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I mean, we're ready for
So
welcome tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Yeah. We will be on the ground, and I hear that there's a lot of mobilization done by different formations in
Excellent.
Welcome. So that's good because maybe, I mean, you know, this today in this discussion, one of the participants spoke about how we have normalized violence in this country, right? And
Yes.
and that when it happens, you know, the way we so this gruesome murder and brutality of Naledi has spurred us on, right? And has spurred a lot of people. But immediately after this first court appearance, everyone is going to go their separate ways, right? When we forget about what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time that one huge incident like this one spurs us on, gets us all worked up, agitated, and then push, after 2-3 days, we have forgotten, we have moved on to something else.
Well, except Brenda, I would say that you know, it's been really wonderful going through my Facebook reminders of, you know, your Facebook memory. And it's actually a bit scary how this time last year, we were exactly fueled by the incidents around Karabo and many other women who kept showing up on our timeline, missing, found dead. And what I'm pleased about is that there's obviously a core group of women in this country who did not just look at that and play and put their rip messages and forget about it, but it actually inspired a whole movement that led to a march, that led to a GBV summit, to the work that we are doing today with the National Strategic Plan. So, you know, let's be a little hopeful about it, but it requires a lot of work, a lot of effort. Feminists continuously working, a lot of feminists at work like you guys are doing today, to make sure that the nation's short memory does not take over again, that we consciously remind them that these women exist, these things happen, and these things continue to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I mean, I think it is a reminder that we cannot afford to normalize it, right?
No.
Yeah, we can't get to a point where we think it's okay. And that's what we need to guard against. Dr. T, what do you have to say?
So I think really, you know, the issue of mental health and wellness is something that keeps coming up, especially because of the shame and the silence that has been, again, normalized around, you know, violence in general, and that victims are fearful or survivors are fearful of speaking out because often that comes with shaming and blaming, you know, and questioning of who you are as a person. And so as part of how we start to imagine and think of, you know, all the solutions and the ways we can be there for survivors, I think one of the very first things is to demand, you know, things like emergency psychological containment and debriefing, especially in the context where a lot of, you know, people are already suffering other forms of violence structurally, you know, whether it's at work, you know, issues related, you know, to trying to get an education where you are being harassed to get good marks, you know. There's just so much, and I think we should really demand, as we work towards an NSP and all of these other policy related issues, that there are things that can be done immediately that can definitely change the lives of people and the experiences of survivors, and we should be at the same time demanding those immediate changes, you know, to be made.
Excellent. Wow, that's really great, and it is. I mean, I think part of the conversations we were having a year ago was whether these incidents, we are seeing more of them because they are occurring more frequently, or is it because of social media that we've become even more aware of them? And I think eventually we're able to prove that actually the violence against women is actually increased in terms of numbers, but being even more aware of them brings up all these issues around even the mental health of the survivors, right? You know, yes, we have the issues with regards to victim response, but also the women like you guys who work with, you know, hearing these stories on a daily basis, mobilizing on these stories on a daily basis. I think that it's really time that we no longer treat this as, you know, business as usual, and realize that we need, you know, the support is needed for the victims as well as for the survivors. Otherwise, what becomes brand South Africa? Do we want our brand to be the nation that survives gruesome murders? I'm not really, you know,
absolutely, absolutely, yeah, no, definitely, and that's why central to the work that we are doing is prevention, right?
Yeah.
It's to deepen our understanding and appreciation that violence is not okay in any society, in any home, in any space, right? And that all of us, men and women, must do everything possible to ensure that we espouse the values of social justice and human rights, right? So that then we understand that any violation is impedes on the human rights of another human being. That women are not second-class citizens. They are not, most men don't see us. I mean, I loved the conversation today. They don't see us, right? To them, we are an object that can be tossed around and insulted, shamed, bitten, raped. So the sooner they start to see us for who the human beings that we are, I think we stand a better chance of starting to get to a common place and coexist.
Yeah, and so I guess we're back to dismantling and disrupting patriarchy, basically. But I think what has become quite clear, Brenda, is that these things are not going to resolve themselves because out of the goodness and kindness of people. So, you know, that takes us to today's story, which I tagged you on, which is a case in Johannesburg where a woman got on a taxi that had another woman in the taxi and about 5 guys on the taxi, including the driver. And at some point, the driver stops, takes a different route than the one originally planned, stops in an open field. 3 of the men get out, they pull the women out and they rape them, and then put them back in the car to drop them off in some location, give them some money, maybe 20 rands or something of that sort, 21 rands, I think, in order for them to continue on their way. So the good side of this is that, yes, these men have actually been arrested because she was able to press charges quickly. Police responded urgently, which is good, right? But I think long term, we need to talk about our right to safety in public transportation. Taxis are a regulated industry. Drivers who operate public transit have to have special licenses and permits to do so. So what are the opportunities
we need to start to screen them. They must be screened first, right? And those who we have now have a record of them of being violent and sexually violating women, either raping or sexual violation, then they get onto the register of perpetrators. And in fact, it should be tied to their license. If you've got a license, then you can't drive anywhere else because you are a perpetrator of a violent nature.
I think it's called public. What is it called? Public service. They apply for it.
They apply for a specific permit, yes, for them to do transport the public. And that's the license that needs to be revoked for these people. So
when you revoke it, you are revoking it for the owner of the taxi, not the driver.
Well, you know, I think at some point the owners need to be accountable.
True, I agree. So you hit the owner in the pocket.
Yes. the owner, I
Yes.
mean, because if it were anything else, the taxi would have been impounded, right? As
Yes.
a weapon of an injustice that's been performed. So
we need,
I think
yeah.
there's a role here for it is and a responsibility to be taken by both the taxi owner, because then it's upon him to vet his drivers as well as the licensing of these individual drivers too.
Yeah, no, true. And I think it should be a mark on that kind of an owner if they were to apply for more licenses and for more routes, that they will not get the license precisely because of the conduct of their employees, right?
Yeah. No, because I mean, I feel like
to be.
we've become quite comfortable with this notion that our taxi and cab drivers have criminal records. In fact, they openly use this as an excuse for why they don't want Uber, because Uber excludes them precisely because of the fact that they won't be able to pass the criminal check.
There's a vetting process, yeah.
So why is it okay for them? And I think this is a really good question from Balula to show us, you know,
Minister Mbalula. Can you respect the office, Minister Mbalula?
The Honorable Minister.
The Honorable Minister Figile Mbalula.
The Honorable.
No, not true. And I think we need to make the case. You have already tagged him on Twitter. I think as the Wise Collective, we need to send a strong letter to him of what we are advocating for, and we want to introduce those changes in the public transport system.
Okay, Sibs, this is just a side note. I'm hoping you are going to go put on your Wise t-shirt and model for us your readiness for tomorrow before we finish the video.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
She should do it.
Let me give her
a t-shirt.
Okay, yes, please.
And please don't fire me because I decided to wear my t-shirt to a political rally.
It's your t-shirt, Brenda.
No, I'm just saying. Saying.
You know what? That's fine. We are going to have a healing ceremony for all of those issues, because I think they blind both sides, and so we are all just kind of walking wounded and scarred. But anyway, Brenda is putting on her Wise Collective t-shirt. You may have to get up and show us fully in your screen. And it's an image of a Black woman with her fists up. And on the sleeve, it says "Feminists at Work," and they'll be wearing these. Look for them in Welcome tomorrow. As we had mentioned, that the Wise Collective has actually applied for a watching brief to be able to officially watch the process of this case, and we are hoping to do more of those later on today. Hopefully by tomorrow, no later than tomorrow morning.
Can you read the sleeve, Ntlantla?
The sleeve, yes, Feminists at Work. Yep.
Thank you.
So later on, we will be sharing a form with you. I'm going to actually come and drop it off here. That's going to encourage you to please share stories with us so that we can know more about, have a way to hear directly from you about some of these cases that are going on. So, you know, be our ears and feet and eyes in your communities, in your workplaces, starting more so with sexual harassment. We really want to hear about sexual harassment cases at your workplaces and how we can be able to assist with those. So when you see that form, please share it. It will be a confidential registry for you to share those stories with us so that we can see how and what opportunities exist for us to be able to assist in advancing some of this and really making sure that we truly bring access to justice for women in this country.
Yeah, I see Kadimulibati has commented and said, power to you ladies and gentlemen, if any. The gentleman is you, Kladi, because this fight is what it demands of all of us to put effort in ensuring that we have a gender-based, free, balanced country, right? Yeah. So, gentlemen, you are referring to yourself, Kladi, and thank you for continuing to be the support. Tabos Kosana, it's a mandate to all of us. Let's change this country for the better and treat its women with dignity.
Yeah, great. And I see Martha is saying that I understand the breaking down bit from Brenda, because the nature of taking GBV is that the very people whose interest and cause you are fighting for will fight you to keep going through. And that's true. You know, we always joke.
Oh, very true. Oh my God. Oh, it's as if she was in there. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It is, because I mean it's a fight for
Yeah.
dignity as well, right? So when you've lost the dignity, it feels like you've really lost everything, and you are just really fighting to hold on tremendously. And especially in a country where it really feels like we are constantly taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, Brenda, your president has been very quiet. I mean, I know he's busy reading resignation letters, but you know, I think it's time for us
Yeah,
to
no, I'm
like,
sure we'll hear him next week at his best during the State of the Nation address. Yeah, let's see. I'm interested to see. So you know that we as WISE Collective are waiting for the appointment of these committees, and I see it's delayed in Parliament again, because we're supposed to be writing to every single parliamentarian on what our expectations are of them in them executing their responsibility and the oversight that they're supposed to carry. So you know, we'll hear it next week. You know, for me is that Parliament is setting a wrong precedent when they continue to be violent, because if they are going to resolve disputes through showing their masculinity and their hyper masculinity, like it happened again yesterday. Apparently there was a scuffle that ensued yesterday. What hope do we have in hell in this country for young women and men to resolve disputes if all of it, even from the highest office being in Parliament, people believe that you can be violent, and that's how you resolve issues. The leadership.
No, I mean, I always say all shit flows downhill. And, you know, so, you know, I mean, if leadership behaves that way, everyone else is going to believe that that's the best way to resolve issues. Anyway, good luck with everything tomorrow in Velcom. It's not really so much good luck, but just good showing, because we really need to have the support. I'm hoping that we can go live with you guys there. I'll check in to see what kind of a connection we have.
Dr. T is going live for Moja Love, right?
Okay, great. Great. Share the links with us, and maybe we can share those through the WISE Collective page as well, to get more people following this story. But, you know, we are definitely there with you. We want 0 postponements after this point.
Exactly, after this point,
I mean, you know, I don't know. I wish I would be allowed to postpone my deadlines at work as frequently as these courts postpone, you know, sitting and making decisions.
And we have spoken about putting the time limits in these court processes, because you know you've got cases that are still have not been heard 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line, and you know, it's ridiculous. So,
and also it deteriorates. I mean, meanwhile, the ability of the victim to remember, the quality of the evidence, the availability of witnesses who are relevant. So sometimes I feel like these postponements are really a strategy by design, basically.
And as we say, justice delayed is justice denied, right? So yeah, exactly. I mean, and I don't understand how magistrates and prosecutors are comfortable with postponing a case 3 times, 4 times, 5 times without any progress in a case, and not even being hard on the police, right? To say if you don't have the evidence, you know, when you arrest, and you arrest is because you have arrested, you've got the evidence, right? And you now start to package your evidence in such a way that you get a conviction, and you work together with your prosecutor to ensure a conviction, right? But this nonsense of postponement after postponement because you can't find, what did you even arrest in the first place if you are still struggling to find the
Struggling
evidence.
to find, yes, exactly. So that actually sometimes goes to show that there's really no reason for it. It's just kind of a, sometimes somebody has paid for things to get postponed and things to disappear.
Exactly.
Because
Right.
otherwise, shows like The River don't make up these stories from nowhere. There's some level of truth,
yeah.
To how some of this does. So Sylvia says
And
that
there's
postponement
Sylvia,
of the cases is because they are being bought. And there's
yeah,
that too.
very true. That's our experience.
Yeah. So we have to also be very diligent about reporting these police officers as well. And, making sure
One
that
of the demands.
we are being bold around some of those. And in fact, Brenda, I was just looking at the 24 demands the other day and thinking, if only this president could just look at the 24 demands, put a plan on implementing every single one of them, half his headache would actually go away if he has one at all.
Yeah, not true. Not true.
Because even some of the new cases we are seeing now, they would actually not be an issue if these demands were already in place.
No, true.
So
I agreed.
About addressing existing problems as well as preventing new assaults. But anyway, that's you guys are having a very early morning, heading out to Velcom in the morning.
Yes, we are.
So we're going to wrap this up. I don't see any more comments, but please continue to drop comments here. We will come back and make responses if any required. And be on the lookout for the form that we want to use for you to help us in reporting and capturing some of these cases, so we can be able to find cases that we should be able to support, similar to how the current case of Justice for Naledi is being handled right now. So thank you very much. Brenda, any parting words from you?
Parting words. I'm trying to get my strength so that I'm ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is having gone through this process this morning and the afternoon, this work is massive, right?
Yeah.
And the changes that we wish to introduce are what is the term? Have got the capacity, the capability, and the capacity to turn this country for the better.
Yeah.
To change the course structurally. I mean, we literally want to wrestle this thing from the ground up, right? And look at the trunk itself and the roots and the branches, so that we can bear good fruits out of it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So we went deep.
That's wonderful. I really hope that it is met with the kind of agency that and efforts that you guys are putting into it by those who are going to now be charged with implementation, because we know how it goes in this country, right? We write these beautiful, wonderful plans and policies, and the implementation is just very lackluster. But I'm hopeful, because I think with this one, we are here to continuously make sure that the implementation happens and that we hold them accountable and hold their feet to the fire. So we might be branded as angry women, as we don't like certain ministers or certain people who work for government, as they like to use as the narrative. But what we just really want is for women to die no more. So, on that note,
absolutely.
I think,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who we are branded as, we like or not. We just want women not to die.
We don't want women to be raped. We don't want women to be assaulted.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Brenda, and thanks everyone for tuning in today.
And Dr. T signing
off. Bye. We'll give an update tomorrow.
Great. Please drop the links for us.
Yes. We're gonna make sure our voices are heard.
Yes, please. We need to hear you all the way in the colony. in the Upper
Yes,
East Republic.
we're gonna lose a kilo or two. We'll be dancing up and down.
Great.
All right. Thanks,
Brenda.
Onika. See you.
Nice to
Talk to you
chat.
tomorrow.
Awesome,
Okay. All
awesome.
right. All right. Bye.